Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to see the overwhelming sort of interest in this program. And I'm actually excited. I was just sharing with our panelists before we went live, but I'm excited to have them here for this opportunity to chat with them and to hear from them. It isn't often that we have a chance to hear from members from our athletic teams, particularly our football team. So let me give you an idea of how this will take place. We have a series of questions. I'm going to ask the questions, and for the most part, two of our panelists will respond at least to the questions. I have a couple of questions where everyone will give a response. We have 8 panelists. I'm going to ask that they tell you who they are for the first question. And I've asked them to keep their comments at least to 2 minutes. This way we'll be sure to have a chance to get through the questions and also have a chance to make sure we hear from them. I want to say in advance, I want to thank you all for agreeing to serve on this panel. I think that this is this really could be a great opportunity for the campus. I mean, I saw many of my colleagues in the Zoom participants list. So this could be a great opportunity for us to learn more about your experiences, and particularly as we look to transition to D2 in a very near future. So with that, I'm going to yield to my colleague, Reverend Bowers. She's going to introduce a special guest for us before we get started. Reverend Bowers?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're here. It's exciting to have this many people here. And I know that our panelists, your hearts are probably going really, really fast, but you're among friends. And in some cases, you're among family. So we're just glad that you're here. And as we said in the prep, I really hope that you'll speak truth to power. And if there are any repercussions for you speaking truth to power, I hope you'll find a trusted person, myself, John, Amy, other people who have lent themselves to be trusted people to come and to come alongside with you in when you're doing what you're doing, because we never get better. One thing we learned is that we never get better, and the oppressed and the oppressor, they have to go hand in hand to try to make things better. So I'm hoping that whatever we might talk about, positive as well as challenging, that we will make sure that we're doing it and seeing it all for our good. It is my pleasure to bring our special guest to our Zoom table today. I'm going to brag just a little bit because I have bragging rights. My nephew, Ephraim Hill, Coach Ephraim Hill, is going to come, and I asked him to come at the very last minute, but I thought it would be worth him coming because he's a football player, he's a football coach, he's had pro status, all of those kinds of things that sometimes those of us that are here on campus are still thinking in our hearts and in our minds that one day that could be us. One day you're playing with it in mind that we know the odds, but you're playing with in mind that you could move to the next level. So I have asked Ephraim Hill, my nephew, who's going to come and is going to share, and he says he's going to stay with us the whole time and help to field some of those questions. So I'm going to smile. I don't know if his parents are on here, but I'll act like that. And I'm going to give a great big smile for all of his kinfolk right now, because we are indeed proud of Ephraim and the man that he is. Ephraim?
There we go. Well, thank you, ma'am. First, I want to say I really do appreciate Dr. Holloway and the other 8 pounds of putting this on, because it's a big step in the right direction. And when I was called about it, I was like, okay, I'll do it. It'd be a couple, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 people. But I'm looking at the participants, 150 some people. And so that's the start of something in the right direction. And so I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but the discussion shouldn't end here. And so you should keep it going on and on, whether you agree, you disagree. It's the point that you're having a discussion. And so there's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but there's something wrong with not having a discussion. And so I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of this panel. I want to field as many questions as I can. I'm not in a rush to go anywhere. And so I do want to just say that. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a native of Atlanta, Georgia. I went to North Springs High School. I'm sure if anybody's from the Atlanta area, you may know what that is. I had the opportunity to go to Sanford University in Birmingham to play football, play receiver. I had a decent career at Sanford. I went on to get a chance to play in the NFL for a couple of years, and then playing the CFL for a couple of years. I actually got a chance to play professional football for 8 years, and so which was great. And then after I got done playing that, and I'm giving y'all the short version of everything so we can get to the good stuff, which is our conversation. I got into teaching, and so this is year 8 for me, and this is year 6 as being a head coach at the high school that I work at north of Atlanta. And so that's it really about me. I'm ready to kind of jump into the meat and potatoes of this thing. And so Dr. Holloway, the show is yours, sir.
Thank you. And I appreciate you being here. By the way, it's not Doc, it's just John. And I truly hope that you'll be able to certainly add to the conversation. And you come certainly highly recommended from Reverend Bowers, and so I'm excited. Yes. Let me also just say real briefly that we're going to try and reserve about 20-25 minutes at the end for Q&A. And so if we can get through these questions, and there's some questions that I didn't ask, and or if you have any follow-up to any of the answers, just please jot it down and perhaps share it with Carly, or we'll give you a chance to open your mic and ask your question. With that, we will go ahead and get started. And so what I've asked our panelists to do in answering this first question, for them to tell you all a bit about themselves before they answer it. So here's a question. As a Black male, describe what it was like for you transitioning from your hometown or your high school to Southwest Virginia or Emory Henry College. Also offer your family or friends' impression. And whoever would like to go first can go first.
I can go ahead and go first. So I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee, which is, I get the best of both worlds. I get the city, also like a rural area as well. But I mean, as far as transitioning from, my hometown to Emory, I wouldn't say there's much of a difference just as far as ethnic, I guess you would say, percentages. But I mean, moving here to Emory, it's a little bit more rural in a sense. I'm not gonna lie, there is more white people. And that's basically it. It was just more moving from a suburban area to a more rural area for me. My parents, they're from the deep South. So, they get a rural element. But, as far as like ethnicities, it's flip-flop. It's more African Americans from where they're from, or basically all African Americans. Then transitioning to Emory, Virginia, it's mostly Caucasian people. So.
What's your major?
It's education. Sorry.
Right. Next.
I'll go next. My name is Deandre Chambliss. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm a senior here, and my major is sports management. I came from Chattanooga is like a small city. So me coming from a small city to like out here, it was kind of different for me. In the city, I can drive 5 minutes down the road, and I probably see like 10 different stores to buy from or something. Up here, I got to drive like 45, 30 minutes to get somewhere known. And then it was like Alvin said, there's a lot of white people here that was just new to me. And like the high school I went to was like an all Black high school. So it was just a new environment for me.
You. Next.
Hi, Zachary Law. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a junior here, and my major is business management. And coming from Charlotte, like a big city, the Emory was a big change for me. Uh, Based off my high school was predominantly Black. I maybe had like 5 or 6 white people at my school, and just a small town Emory, and seeing a bunch of woods and deer jumping everywhere and mountains. It was it's just different. But that's just it.
Next.
I'm Cornelius
Next,
Barber.
go ahead.
I'm Cornelius Barber. I'm from Fort Mill, South Carolina. And in my hometown, it's kind of like how Ivan said, with a little bit of rural, some city mixed in together. Kind of also piggybacking off what Ivan said. My parents, they both came from kind of an urban background, you know, a lot more African Americans. So my mother, when she first found out I was coming here, she was nervous for me. You know, it's a new area, a new place, a new setting. It's the rural South, you know, and that's a lot of negative connotation towards African Americans.
Great. Thank you, Paul.
I'll go next. I'm Deandre Chambliss. I'm from Somerville, South Carolina. My major is sports management. The transition here was a little rough for me. Like I wasn't used to seeing so many Caucasian people because where I'm from it's a mix, but I'm more around, you know, African Americans. Like to piggyback what Deandre said, to go to stores, you gotta go 30 minutes away. When I'm home, I don't gotta go that far just to go to the store. But transition it's getting better now, but it was rough at first. So
Great.
I'm Tyler Easley. I'm from south of Lynchburg, a place called Gladys, which is rural. I would say the transition to Emory wasn't much of a transition. I would say the transition was big from how I seen more people different from me. Other than that, the transition was smooth sailing.
My name is Stedman Graham. I'm from Harrisburg, North Carolina, which is right on the outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. Like Ivan and Deandre and Geddes said, the transition was, I've literally lived down the street from a lot of different facilities and stuff like that to come down here and have to drive a bit down the road just to do things and find things. But I'm a senior, junior on the field, and my major is sociology, crime, and society.
Everyone going?
No, I'm about to go.
Okay.
I'm Zachy Pendergrass. I'm from Decatur, Georgia, which is basically the outside of the city of Atlanta. I basically go in the city to do everything, and it's big. I'm a junior, and my major is engineering with a minor of civic innovation. I would say the transition is really different because I come from like a big city to here, which is, you know, like everybody else said, you have to go a ways to go to the store, where I can literally walk out the house and not even walk half a mile to the store. Other than that, it's been pretty chill here, simply because, you know, most people, they find their little crew that they click with, and, you know, they hang with that crew. So therefore, you know, they kind of have tunnel vision to other stuff, but it is absolutely more white people here than African Americans.
I wanted to follow up on a lot of what several of you mentioned, and this is a follow-up piece, so maybe one or two can respond to it. But how have you dealt with the transition? So many of you acknowledge that there was a transition, and have you overcome this? Is this something you're still struggling with? How have you dealt with this newness in your life?
I'll go. I mean, I found more people like me, you know, to hang around, and that really helped me a lot. So
just to add to what Geddes said, just finding your friend group, to help you, guide you. I know when I first got here, I depended on some of the older guys on the football team, that had already been here, just to show me the ropes, show me where to go, where not to go. That basically was like my guideline my first year here. And I mean, that set the path for where I am now as far as my comfortability level in at Emory.
So would you think that the team was a huge affinity for you all in helping to acclimate to Emory and Henry?
Yeah, people on the team was my first friends. Those were the people I knew nobody up here, like literally, and except for the people I met on my visit, and just the team after that dispersed out. I got other friends, but the team was a big part of my first friend group here.
Great. Anyone else? Do I move on? Great. So this next question, I'm going to ask for at least maybe 2, if not 3, to respond to it. As an athlete, please describe your life on campus. Discuss friendships, deep friendships, and even the possibility of dating. As an African-American athlete, how do you feel you are perceived both in and outside the classroom? Anyone?
I'll go ahead and start. So, I mean, as an athlete on campus, we're usually pretty busy. So, I mean, we're usually around the football team, which is basically like a brotherhood in a sense. But as far as outside of sports, I feel like sometimes, other ethnicities don't really relate or try to relate in a sense. So, I mean, that can be frustrating at times. My friend group is a pretty solid friend group. I know they have my back to the end. As I do theirs. Sorry. But as far as I would say dating, interracial relationships around here can be iffy. For example, I've been out in public sometimes with, another person. I get weird looks, stares. So, I mean, but like in my head, it's more of a thing that I just brush off because, you don't know that person. They don't know me. So they just look at my physical appearance, what I look like, and then it's judgmental in a sense rather than, actually knowing who I am. Because at the end of the day, like your skin color to me doesn't matter. It's more about your intellect.
Thank you, Larry.
I can piggyback off what Ivan said. As athletes, we are very busy. Like we have class and practice, and you got a weight room, and it's a whole lot being an athlete. And as far as friendships, I'm a part of C5C. I'm the president, so I have a good foundation there. And I can also piggyback off the interracial relationship things. I'm actually in an interracial relationship, and I do get stares. Like I walk with my girlfriend, and people looking like you can tell when people staring at you, like looking at you a type of way. It's just, I mean, I haven't got used to it, but it's like, I mean, it is what it is. Like you just got to deal with it, and that's what it is.
Anybody else would want to respond to that?
Like Kui said, you have to deal with it because on campus, as I walk around and stuff, you can feel the side eyes from people who don't know your backstory or anything, and them just looking at you being an athlete. If they do come and talk to you, they can only talk to you about football, and that's about it. They can never talk to me about class work or anything, group work or nothing, just like football. So I just wanted to add my input on that as well.
The one piece that I don't think anyone responded to was, how do you think you're perceived in or outside the classroom? Do you think as an athlete, does that impact your relationships inside the classroom, perhaps with your faculty person or other students?
I can answer that. Honestly, I'd say there are high expectations. Just the same for me, at least, it hasn't changed since I've came from high school, and I'm a senior now. So like all I was told was you're on the football team. Wait, what? Oh, well, all I was saying was that, yeah, I was on the football team. We expect you to be a leader in the class. We get it from our coaches too here, be a leader on and off the field. So that means getting in class, going to class, don't miss any classes, get your work done, turn it in on time, and just be successful, because that's what we've been growing up to be taught to do.
Great. I'm going to move on. So one of the things that I didn't mention before was that the impetus of this program really was an outcome of last fall. We had some students who had completed a art project in Dr. Brimner's class, and some of those art materials included Black Lives Matter posters and sort of lawn signs. And unfortunately, they were destroyed, they vandalized, and ultimately, it had a huge impact on our community. It had a huge impact on the students. And I received an email from Ivan, who's with us today, and he talked about how just really frustrated that he was, and that many of his friends who are on the football team felt frustrated as well, and sort of kind of had it up to here, and they really wanted to do something about it, and so this program a few months later really is was really started as an outcome of Ivan sharing his frustrations, and that he wanted to really have an opportunity to share his voice as well. And so this next question is, how did the killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and others during the summertime at the hands of law enforcement impact you? What was your reaction to last summer's demonstrations and the destruction of the Black Lives Matter posters on campus? And then finally, could Emory and Henry provide more support in this effort? Anyone?
I'll go ahead and start. So the deaths that happened this summer, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest, totally infuriated me. I mean, as far as a field like law enforcement, there can't be any bad apples in a sense. That's like saying a pilot, carrying how many ever passengers, we might make it to the destination, we might not. Or a doctor, but just bad practice. Uh, as I move forward, uh, my reaction is basically just came from, everybody else. As I saw on social media, athletes, stars, celebrities, people that everybody looks up to, especially in an African American content, them speaking up. I, I figured it was, time for everybody to speak up in a sense, basically saying like enough is enough to a point, and that just doesn't have to go with just the whatever what happened in the summer. That just is moving forward and in generality.
Yeah. Thanks, Ivan.
Yeah, going off of what Ivan said, when the posters were destroyed, like it made a lot of us mad, simply because if you were raised right, which most of us are, you don't do stuff like that. Like, that's just, you're going out your way to do something just because of a different cause, like because you don't support it, and you don't do that. Like, you just, if you don't support a cause, you sit in silence and you let it be. Like, but and then as far as the killings that happened, sad to say, it's normal. Like, it's gotten to that point where that's a normality in our country. And just, my friends and family here, my brothers on the football team, like, it could be any one of us any given day. And, sad to say, it can happen in next week, it can happen in next month. And it's just like, it's hard to be have your head on a swivel, you know, and everybody messes up now and then. And it's like, as a Black person, like, you can't mess up. Like, that's the feeling. You can't mess up, or, you know, that's it. You in the grave or you in prison. Yeah.
Has the summertime's activities created any type of interest in becoming more involved or active socially to
I
make a
say
difference?
yes, because off what Ivan said, like the pro athletes spoke out, and like that made me want to speak out more based off my platform, the influence I have as an athlete, and the social media followings I have. I know me saying something can start something or have somebody else speak out on how they feel about it, and a change can come. Like the more you put into something is what you're gonna get out. So if you don't say nothing and you claim you for something, it makes no sense. You feel me? So you gotta be able to speak out and what you believe in.
Facts.
And to back off of what Queese just pointed out, with the killings over the summer, it was kind of a thing where it's sad that it happened, but it sparked a conversation that needed to happen. Honestly, I think it was nice to see how you had this society and this generation, individuals of the opposite race, to step up and say, okay, what is going on? It has become something that we need to talk about. We need to sit down at the table and have an understanding with. So wholeheartedly, Queese, I understand exactly and get exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I jump in on this question?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And just like Mr. Pendergrass said, the killings this summer, to me, I was born in '83, and so it was, hey, here we go again. And so that's kind of was my thing. Like the reason it's getting the outcry now is because now we can see it on tape. Now the social media is there. Now everybody truly sees it. But there still has not truly been now we are coming together. Things are starting to change here and there, but there's still, it's not a full-fledged on, hey, there is a problem. And so, and I think that is one of the biggest things, that we have so many people that still won't admit that there is a problem. And everyone, like if you watch the news, I hate watching news, but I watch it to see how they spin stuff. And so it always goes back to stuff like, well, he was wrong at this time. And so it's almost trying to justify why at this time they were killed. And so we have not, as a country, as a entire people, white, black, brown, purple, orange, identified or just said truly, hey, there is a problem. And so until we take that first step of there is a problem, I mean, if you go to Alcohol's Anonymous class, the very first thing you have to do is admit there is a problem. And so, and that's kind of where we sit. We haven't even got over that first step. So.
Wow. Thank you. Back in 1997, a psychologist, educator, and former president of Spelman College, Dr. Beverly Daniel Tatum, she authored a really popular book. It was entitled, and listen closely, Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria? 24 years ago, she described that on any given day, if you walked into a racially mixed school, you would find clusters of Black, white, and Latinx students sitting together. She questioned, and now I'm going to question, is this self segregation, or is it a coping strategy, or maybe something else? Prior to COVID, did you sit exclusively with other Black males? If so, what would you like to say about that? Anyone?
I'll start.
Oh, okay, you go.
All right. So, what that is, yes. I can honestly say that's usually what happens from my perspective, because when I walk into a cafeteria, especially if I'm new and I don't know anybody, usually the first person that I ever meet on campus, or the first kind of couple of people that I meet, are usually African Americans. They're not afraid to come up and talk to me and stuff like that. So when I walk into a caf, I'm like, okay, I feel like I can go sit down with these African Americans and just have a conversation just about probably anything, and be cool with them. Whereas I can go out, I go out in the public, and may have a Caucasian person looking at me and just giving me a look. And like they said earlier, we have to brush those off. But I definitely feel more comfortable, especially in a new environment, considering Emory and Henry being predominantly white, walking into the caf and sitting with people of my traits. It's just coping. So it's very helpful. Allows me to just be a part of the group.
Okay.
To piggyback off of what Stephen said, I think it's a coping mechanism too, because like I mentioned earlier this week, when you see like another Black person or African American around, it's like that's your brother. Like you have to talk to him, like especially around here, because there's not a lot of us around here. So it's like we have to stick together. And so like in the cafeteria, like you're going to sit with him, so sit with someone of the same color. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
Okay. So let me go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say to the question, I feel like it's more self-segregation just because it's a comfort zone. I walk inside the calf, you see a lot of different ethnicities, and I just want to sit with the African American because, I feel more comfort around them. I'm not gonna be judged or looked at wrong. I can eat my food peacefully and stuff. As into sitting at a mixed table is kind of like conversations off here and there. You can hear like two people having a conversation down there. You got other two people having a conversation right there. But like when I sat with other African Americans, it was like a big party, I can say. Everybody was in the conversation and enjoying it and stuff.
Okay. So let me just have a follow-up question real quick, because I think that I believe that we need to create more opportunities for folks to be able to come together and to move beyond their social circles that they're comfortable with. And so, and I'm not saying that it's the African American students' responsibility to make that happen, but how does it happen on this campus? How do we sort of break down some of the, because it's not only the Black students sitting together, it's the white students as well. And so how do we begin to have more opportunities where people are together socially
I say
outside of
sports.
but outside of football as well? Can it happen outside of football or basketball?
That's hard because the only like white people I would sit with, other than my girlfriend, was people on the football team. So it's like that's just people have their own group of people they associate with. That's how it is.
Okay.
So to think about answering your question, VP Holloway, I mean, just simple ideas of, say we're having this discussion right now. What if we were to like maybe get together, host an event and stuff like that, invite people that we know of a different ethnicity and race, and just see what the turnout would be? What if we had people of Caucasian come out to an event that we host? I don't know what that event would be, but just like that's an idea, and they come
Absolutely.
out, they meet all of us, and we get to like build a relationship that moment and just talk to them and meet new people. And then like after that event, they may see you through campus and just be like, hey, and then just start a conversation, stuff like that. Just really putting ourselves out there more, I guess, instead of sort of being isolated and talking about situations. So.
Okay.
To add to what Stedman said, I don't know if you all remember, but that week of orientation for new students, transfer students, or freshmen. I know this was before COVID and everything, so it's not really ideal now. But how everybody was on the field, mingling and talking to everybody. If we input that kind of stuff, I guess after COVID, that would definitely help as well. Because I know for a fact, for myself, that's when I met, the boys on the football team, other than practice, some other guys, girls I talked to on campus as well. So,
Okay. All right. Great. So, Emory, Meadowview, Abingdon, Bristol, Marion, all have populations that are almost entirely white. Can you describe your experiences while off campus? Where do you shop at? Where do you get your
Uh,
hair cut? Well, let me finish. Where do you get your hair cut at?
I
Do you
get
worship? Do you worship here in town? Could Emory and Henry be doing more to support you in this issue?
I
I'm
shop
sorry.
at
Go right ahead.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I shop at Walmart. That's the closest store to shop at around here, and that's still like 15 minutes away. But uh, it's hard because it's been times where I'm with my friends shopping, and they do the receipt check thing to make sure you're not stealing nothing. There's been times I've seen white people in front of me, like lots of white people just walk past. They say, "Have a good day." When my friends come, they checking our receipts one time, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have this on your receipt. Where is this? Where is that?" And they're like checking through our bag, and "Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Have a good day." And I felt that was wrong. I'm like, hey, that really angered me. Like, dang, what we got to steal for? Because we black? We don't have money because we black? That's just it's hard around here. Like, just being a Walmart, can't shop in Walmart pieces without being racially discriminated.
Wow. Does that make you want to stay on campus or what?
I mean, I can't stay on campus because I need food and stuff to
Yeah.
survive, but
Yeah.
it's just it makes me angry, makes me want to actually fight or like just respond in a violent way. But I know that's not the answer because
No.
at the end of the day, I'm the one that's gonna get in trouble. I'm the one that's in the wrong.
Right.
So I just take a deep breath, pray about it, and pray that change come.
Okay. How about you, Corn? You about to say something?
Yeah. So I've had an experience off campus. It was me and two of my friends. They were actually white friends. We went to a basketball game in the community, and I was probably say maybe one of the only black people in that gym at the time. And the energy that came off of the people that were looking at me just didn't feel good. It felt like a lot of hatred. And but the two white friends that I had with me, we got back to the dorm. And I was like, that wasn't okay. They actually supported me and they understood where I came from. And like, that's not everybody down here. Those are just some of the select few who are still stuck in old ways and don't want to see change and progression move forward.
Corn, did your friends notice it?
Yes, they noticed it. If I could say his name, I would say Seth Stanley. He was one of the ones who noticed it for me. He was like, "Hey man, it's okay. Watch it. You're cool. It's fine. We got you." And it was kind of like that. And I really want to thank him for that because he, really supported me and made me feel pretty safe.
Great. Uh, as an African American athlete, have you ever felt a strong need to voice your views about a divisive topic impacting your community? Have you been recently moved by professional athletes taking a more vocal stance on societal issues? I think we answered some of these questions already. Does anyone have anything they want to add to this?
going on your question, how you said the athletes, professionals spoke out from this summer. I
Hmm.
felt like it was definitely, our time to speak out here at in this area. And going back on what Quee said, using our platform, you know, I guess you could say that we are pretty well known at the school from sports and other activities that, it's time to stand up for ourselves as well. So
Okay. Ivan, let me ask you, do you think that because you all wear helmets and pads and stuff, and so do you think most of the folks on this campus know that you all play football?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Cash you, why? Why do you think they know you play football?
Just follow up.
Um, if you want me to be completely honest, I would just
Yeah.
say appearance. if that makes sense.
Like, cause you swole, you have a lot of muscles, like that appearance.
I wouldn't say all that, but more in a sense, yes, I'd agree.
Okay.
I would have to say it kind of comes with appearance, but you don't really see too many African Americans coming to Emory and Henry just to go to school here. You know, I'll speak for myself. If it wasn't for football, I don't think I would be at Emory and Henry College.
Is that
So
right?
I think I do believe that. I believe football brought me to Emory, and I'm grateful for being here. You know, but I do believe that if it wasn't for football, I probably would not be in Virginia or at Emory and Henry College.
Hmm. How
Yeah,
do others
I
feel about that?
feel the same way Corn saying. Like if it wasn't football, I probably wouldn't be here either. And like earlier this week, you mentioned a stat. Like you said, it was I think 70% of the African Americans out of school they play football. So that's another way you can tell that only African Americans play football here. Well, come here to play football
Yeah.
or have sport. I mean,
I totally agree with Corn because if it wasn't for football, I wouldn't be here either. And piggyback off what Ivan said, it's big on appearance because I'm one of the like few here with dreads. So it's like, oh, I know him, dude with the dreads. And on my name, like just dude with the dreads. So it's appearance, like that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
I know we haven't gone to the questions and answers yet, but just because we're on this, what will happen after football? Because what happens if you get hurt and you can't play football? Does that say that Emory and Henry cannot keep you if the only reason you're here is football?
Oh no, because I'm sorry, because
No,
to play football, you got to keep your grades up. So I mean, we're here for a reason. We get an academic part, but as far as coming here at the school in general, football was like main reason why we attended Emory.
So what happens if you get hurt?
We follow through with our education. We all have majors in hand. We all have to keep a certain academic level to even practice or play. There's a thing called probation. If your GPA gets too low, you gotta go to study hall, and if you still on probation, you don't get to play. So I mean, you got to keep your grades up either way.
So football brought you here, but is there a broader connection now?
I can answer that. So I tore my Achilles last semester, or not last semester, this semester, but before break. And then I was just like getting to thinking, like, I don't really want to. Not saying I don't want to play football because the people here make me want to play football. So like that's the only reason I'm trying to recover and play because I'm doing it for them. That's when I finally realized the greater purpose. But other than that, I probably won't play this season because I probably won't get cleared. So like the only thing that's really keeping me here, other than me wanting to graduate and take the route that I'm taking as far as engineering and being able to make do well for myself and care for others, I would say it's my friends here. Like I have like two really close friends. Like they're like my brothers now. They keep me here, and then like the other 7 people on this panel, like I treat them like family, so they make me want to stay here. So I would say yes, there is a greater purpose in football. For football brought us here, but what's making us stay is football. But it's the family that we're building while we're in football.
Yeah, I think that I have to tell you, and I believe a lot of my colleagues would feel the same way. I really want to learn and discover more about how do we create even stronger bonds and connections for you all here beyond your sport. Because as Reverend Bowers mentioned, and I'm going to move on, but as Reverend Bowers mentioned, you can always get hurt, and you know this for a fact, Zachy. And so, how do we create more connections for y'all while you're here as students where you will want to stay? I'm looking at one of the comments from Jazz, and he's saying that um, if you didn't play your sport anymore, that you may look to transfer. And so, you know, I like to see more of us come here and complete here. So, but I'll move on. We're running close on having to transition over to our Q&A. Um, well, actually, you know what? I will allow this to be the last question because this will be for everyone to respond to. So what are your plans for the future when you finally hang up your cleats for the last time? What obstacles do you see, if any, on your completion here at Emory and Henry College?
Um, I, I'll go first on that one. Uh, my plans are to go into law enforcement field. That's what I've grown up just really studying and seeing. My dad's a retired police officer from CMPD, and my mom is a retired bailiff from the courthouse in Charlotte. So I grew up knowing what I wanted to do. I knew before I came here, I asked them if they had a criminal justice major, and they told me I had a sociology, crime and society major. So that clicked with me. And I've already did my internship with Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department this past summer, and they told me that they want me there, and I should be applying this fall coming up, depending on if I graduate and stuff in this fall. But yeah, that's definitely what I want to go into, and then just further my career in law enforcement, possibly K-9 unit.
Okay. Thank you, Stedman. Next.
As far as for me, my plan, after football, graduating is going to be finding a job in the education. So I'll be done with my master's hopefully at the end of spring 2022. And then after that, it's just going to be finding a job, making yourself, as reputable as possible, so you can find a job in a sense. Because, it's finding a job is hard for anybody. But, it adds another element of difficulty when, you have brown skin in some areas. I will say that.
Yeah. Ivan, would you consider staying in the area?
Probably not, to be honest.
Okay.
Kind of going off what, sorry.
You go ahead.
So kind of going off what Ivan said, after college, I'm looking to get a job in the sports broadcasting field, and also maybe going to coaching as well. And what Ivan said, having brown skin in an area like this, it'll definitely be a lot more challenging. In the real world, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And sometimes you don't know that certain person as well as a white person might know them. So, that could hinder your progression, up the ranks and up promotions. A lot of African Americans have been passed on for promotions, even though they might have been the more qualified or suitable candidate for that, just because of their skin.
Would you consider staying, Corn?
I don't believe I would. I would probably go back around my hometown, around Charlotte area.
Okay.
Yeah, like going off what Corn said, it's not what you know and it's who you know. And I've been thankful enough to have a few people back home that are engineers. They've been like either mentors or coaches, friends and stuff. So I have maybe 6 to 7 job opportunities after I graduate to go into the engineering field, whether that's mechanical or whatever the case may be, computer. So like definitely what he said, it's not what you know, is who you know, because I don't think if I knew who I knew, I wouldn't have these opportunities that I have. And pretty much that's gonna be what I do after I hang up the cleats is, continue to work and be able to provide for myself and my family if needed be. So yeah, and then as far as probably staying here, I don't think I will either.
I think very few of our graduates of color would decide to stay here locally. Next.
Going off what they said, networking is a big part of life as a whole, because you knowing a lot of information, and not knowing where to pertain it. I mean, where to put it at, and knowing somebody can be a big change in life. That one person can give you so much opportunity. And as far as me, after college, I want to use my business degree to start my own business. Like all my family do duct work and sheetrock, and I've been learning how to do plumbing, from plumbing to mounting TVs and painting and things like that. So I want to keep my business in the family, coming from a single parent household. My mama got her own business. So I've learned a lot from there, and the accounting area and all that I've been learning, business law, is taught me a lot. So I'm going that route.
Thank you.
And to back off of what Corn was saying about going into the sports field, one thing I want to do after I hang up the cleats here at Emory is hopefully go into coaching collegiate football. I always heard Coach Newsom always talk about there's nothing stronger than a brotherhood or something pertaining to that in the locker room. If you can just take a locker room and have the different, ethnicities and races and take that into the world and build a foundation off of that, we can be 10 times more a better place than we are now.
Wow. Thank you.
In my future, I plan on being a coach as well and opening my own training facility. I would say that's one thing Emory Henry is good at, is setting you up for the future, getting your name out there and connections and stuff. I did like that about the small classrooms. That's a big reason why I stayed here at Emory instead of leaving. I could say, if I say her name, my advisor, Dr. Buchanan, she's a great professor, and she tries her hardest to get you out there. And we have this, they changed the name of the building, but it's right here beside the CAF. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's where you go get your resume done, your hours and stuff. And that's a really helpful building, I would say, Emory Henry has on campus. And so.
Okay, you like hearing that, Lee, huh? Next.
After I hang up my cleats, I'll be looking for a job in the sports management department. But if that doesn't work, I would definitely look into coaching. Like Deandre said, he has Professor Buchanan as his advisor. I do as well. She's definitely a great teacher and an advisor, and she definitely pushes you. She tries to find the best choices for you, and I definitely appreciate her for that. So
Great. Thank you. Anyone else? Has everyone answered the question? Great.
John,
Yes.
I wanted to ask Ephraim, is that an easy thing? I hear all these people saying that they're going to be coaches and business and all of that, and I don't know if it's worth, and we've got Lee and his shop down there that's going to help, but since that's your trajectory, Vincent, that's his brother, Ephraim, can you tell us a little?
So I got the opportunity to hang up my cleats at the age of 30. And so being involved in sports from the age of 7, 8 until you're 30, once I hung them up, I was kind of in a little lost space. It's kind of where I was at. And so my undergrad was in business. And so I had plans of opening, I wanted to own a Subway and this and that. And what kind of led me to teaching was the relationship I kind of built while I was playing football. But during the off season, I would come home when I was in Canada, and my daughter played softball at a park, and so there were teachers there that kids also played softball at the park, and they looked nothing like me, but we developed a relationship, and so I had to step outside of my comfort zone, and so I hear so many of y'all talking about. And I'm sorry, I'll be a little long-winded, but that in the classroom that, hey, I'm there, but as a young Black man, it's gonna be a point in time, and this is the time to learn to step outside of your comfort zone, because you will be amazed that just like you're afraid to step out your comfort zone, a lot of them are afraid to step out their side of their comfort zone. And so, I had a young lady in my class at the school I went to, college, and it sounds just like where y'all are at school, where the majority of the African Americans are athletes. And so, and she basically said she's never sat in the classroom with the Black person before. So what she knew of us is what she saw on TV of us. And so, and we end up having a conversation, and both of us are kind of in that same boat where I really don't know you because these are the things that I hear, and she's saying the same. And so we came to and just spoke, and we both step outside and we develop a different type of relationship. And so just listening to you all just talk about some of the same things I faced at my school, when you step outside your comfort zone, and it turns just a little bit different, and it is a lot about who you know. And so, and just what it is, the majority of business owners are white. The majority of principals are white. The majority of folks that are going to get you in that door are white. And so, and the majority of them aren't bad people. And so, and that's what I had to learn as well, that the majority of people on this earth are good people, and they have the same type of interests that you do, is for everybody to succeed. And so my challenge to you all would be, step outside your comfort zone. And you don't have to do it on a big level. Do it on a small level. Do it to the young man that sits across from you in class, that, hey, he may look at me funny, I may look at him funny. Hey, just go, hey, my name is Ephraim. What's your name? Where you from? How you doing? And so, and you will be amazed the response that you'll get, because again, a lot of time they're just as afraid as you, and I won't say afraid, but just as nervous as you are to step outside that comfort zone, and they're waiting for somebody to just cross that line and say, hey, how are you doing? And so it was tough, but my relationships that I built stepping outside my comfort zone kind of helped my career after football kind of progress a lot faster than some of the friends that I do know.
Okay. Thanks, Coach. That's helpful. We're going to transition over to the question and answer period. But before we do, I just want to get a show of hands from our panelists. And I just want to sort of kind of try and get a view of the sacrifice it takes to go to Emory Henry College. How many of you and or your parents are carrying a lot of debt from your student loans? Just by maybe yes or no?
Not anymore. It used to be a time where I couldn't register for classes because my mom just couldn't pay. I got the bonus scholarship, and that helped me a lot.
Okay.
Before, it's like I'd be the only one not having classes while people 2-3 days in classes, and it was tough. Like, but Bonner really helped me out with that.
Great.
Yeah, like we said, I'm also a Bonner. It's really a blessing to have like a scholarship like that, take care of the majority of school for you, because sometimes, sports can only get you so far. So, and then just having an academic scholarship, it looks good, and it's a lot more, a lot less pressure.
I'll bet. Absolutely.
So with me, I'm not in Bonner. I remember, I think it was like sophomore year. I talked to Miss Jolie, and she was telling me about it because I didn't know anything about it. I never even like got into it or anything. I emailed the dude who was in charge and stuff, but it just didn't really. I guess it didn't really work out. But yeah, I pay for things out of my pocket. And all my parents tell me is, go up there, go to class, don't worry about it. We're gonna take care of it for now and stuff like that. And we take out loans and everything. So
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Stedman. Like, I wasn't able to get into Bonner either, so paying for everything out of my pocket. My parents said the same thing to me. You just go up there, get your education, we'll worry about that later.
Wow.
And not having with Stead and Geddes, I didn't get the Bonner scholarship after applying, but I put the debt in my name. So, but my parents do help me out a lot, and I help myself, out of pocket. But yeah, it's just one of those things.
Thank you. Carly, I'm not sure if we have any questions in the chat, or if anyone would like to ask a question directly for our panelists.
We do have a few in the chat, but we also have Mr. Fred George has his hand raised. So we'll
Okay.
send it over to him first, and then we'll get to some of the questions in the chat.
Great.
My bad. I raised my hand a long time ago, but I was just letting the program go on. My question was, it was in reference to something that was said earlier when we were talking about retention. And I played ball at Emory too, right outside of Atlanta. But we were talking about, Reverend Bowers talked about if you were to get hurt, would you stay? And then my question was going to be, and I think Zachy kind of alluded to it a little bit, but it would be for you as athletes, and thinking about in terms of if I were to get injured and I couldn't play anymore and I stayed, would you be staying because in a sense of, well, I'm already here and I just want to finish and get through, I'm too far in to leave? Or would you be staying because, no, I've learned to enjoy this environment and enjoy this place and I want to stay here? So I think that's two completely different things. And I was just wondering if you clarify on that, because I think with myself newly in student success and working as much as I can with VP Holloway and Carly and Reverend Bowers, we really want to try to retain our students. And it's not an easy thing. I mean, we can't just flip a switch and make everything happen, but it is important to be able to hear directly from students as much as possible. So if
Good question, Fred. It's a good question.
I can chime on that.
How about we just real quick? How about we make sure, just so we can get through questions, maybe no more than one or two people to respond to the question. Okay. Go ahead, Zacchaeus.
Um, I've been told recently by people that have transferred, like a lot of credits don't transfer from Emory to other schools, because we are a private institution, and the other part is the relationship is a big part of why I would stay. Also, because I got a relationship with a lot of different people in a lot of different aspects, so it'd be a little bit of both.
Okay.
I agree with Queese. I think it's both as well, because like he said, with the credits, you find out that not all your credits transfer with you, so that keeps a lot of students here because they don't want to be behind going to another college. Then you have, on the other hand, you do have good professors here who want to see you succeed in life, and you do have like a good student body here, and so it's kind of both as well.
Okay.
But the credit plays the big major into like a lot of students not leaving.
Okay. Okay. Another question?
Yes, so there's a few in the chat. This one, I'm going to read it just as it's written. I am an old white woman, retired coach, and former professor, fortunate to have known some of you while I was still teaching at Emory Henry. So if you could help a white person understand one thing, what would it be? If you could get/help a white person to do one thing, what would it be?
I'll answer this one. It's just educating yourself, rather than being, I'm not saying anybody's culturally biased, but, exploring other cultures, having like an understanding of what maybe someone of a different skin color might go through than yourself. Like the best way I explain it to my friends when things come up is like, just live a day in my shoes and you would totally understand.
What can I say? One quick thing.
Yes.
So just to add to that question, one thing I would just love to see and hear about is the fact that when someone's talking about someone of another race or ethnicity or using a certain word and out of context that doesn't need to be said, and the people around them don't say anything, but then they'll come and tell you what he said or what she said, stuff like that. I just wish those people had enough courage to just stand up and say, that needs to stop. What did he do? What did he do to deserve be called this word? Stuff like that. Just people stepping up. It's just like, because we know it happens behind our back, people tell us, but yeah, just people to stand up for what's right.
Yeah, going back on what Stead said, just have an empathy, have like an understanding,
Okay. Next question.
This question is from a member of our community who has been very helpful with us doing some community organizing, Trayvon Brown. He says, do you ever feel like some of the students who aren't Black on campus avoid talking to you or including you in some of the activities because you are Black men?
The answer to that, no doubt. I feel like people are scared because, you know, the color of our skin, they think like, you know, if they approach us, we might act a certain way that they've seen on TV or, you know, scenes from social media or some way. And like, not you can't treat like one person like everybody else. Like not everybody's the same. Like you have your good, you have your bad. And I will say at Emory is more good than bad.
Yeah, I want to take what Mr. Ephraim Hill said earlier about how, you know, some people are kind of nervous to take that first step. And I've learned that most of the community here at Emory are, you know, they went to schools that maybe had a handful of African-American students. So, you know, they're not going to be, you know, they're going to be nervous to take that step. And I feel like, you know, that's part of the reason that they don't speak to us first, or we have to make the initial move to start a conversation.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, Coach Hill.
okay. And this is something that I kind of learned a while back, and so it's so as an African American man, I have to live in the world with white people, but as a white person, they don't have to live in our world. And so, and it kind of goes back to the question, like, what can a white person do? Is try to be a part of our world. We have no choice but to be a part of your world. And so, and there is so many the other way, white folk or white people, they don't have to be a part of our world. They choose to, or they don't choose to. Like we have no choice. And so if you could do something, I would say, hey, try to be a part of our world. Like choose to be a part of our world. And so.
Yeah.
I'd like to hand it over to Jake Sturgill, who has their hand raised for a question.
Okay. Jake.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank all the panelists for your time. As a student from the area, Emory's given me a lot of opportunities, basically my only opportunities to learn about culture and other opportunities and other ethnicities. My question is, I think Emory's initiative and focus on inclusion and diversity is great, but like I said, I'm from Abingdon and I don't see that in the community. And I heard a couple of you mention, like, when you go out to stores, you get looks, or, you know, out in restaurants, on dates and whatnot, getting those looks. And I can't imagine being in that position, but I was thinking that maybe there was a way to use Emory's platform within the community to get out there, and whether it be hosting events or just spreading information, to hopefully make that a little bit more comfortable for some of the students at Emory.
That's a great idea, Jake. What do y'all think?
It's a start. It's definitely something that would help out us in the community, and it's definitely something in the, that's well known in the area. Everybody, you know, when you go out, they see you with the Emory Henry hoodie or something like that on. That sort of starts conversations in most cases. Especially they ask you if you're part of this football team, playing sports. What are you there for? Stuff like that. So I think it's a great idea.
And to piggyback off of Stedman, with Emory going Division II, and Jake, I'm glad that you pointed that out. Having that connection between Emory and the community would be great, because it'll be a way for us to combine ourselves going forward.
Yeah. Good point.
With try to add a little something last with what Tyler said, how Emory's going D2, it's going to be attracting a lot more African Americans that actually play sports, because, you know, money would be better allocated to, you know, be given out as well to some students who couldn't afford to come here. So with you know, helping include more of the future African American students that will be coming to Emory, it'll definitely, you know, help start something there.
Great. And you want to say something about D2?
I really do. And Cohen, you guys made a great point about us going Division II. And I want to say, you know, not because it's stereotypical that students of color play sports, but we know that sports is a way for us to invite students of color to our campus. And it's really important. And I've made it quite clear, and VP Holloway, I'm sure can attest to that too. It's not enough for us to open our doors to students of color. We have to provide them the support and the services that they need to be successful while they're here. Because we do know that our community is not very diverse, and it does present its own unique set of problems for students of color that that the rest of us don't have to deal with. So I want you to know, and I want to say it in front of this group, that I'm working really closely. Tamara's working with us, but we've made a commitment in our department to be a catalyst for change, not only in athletics, but on campus, working with Reverend Bowers and with VP Holloway as well, to try to create systems and activities and things that make this feel more like home. Because I'm a former student athlete. I see Coach Shedden on this call as well. We had great experiences here, and we want everyone to have great experiences here. So I'm going to challenge you guys. First of all, I want to say how proud I am of you for taking this opportunity today to help us all see. If you think about the poet laureate yesterday, we have to see the light, but we also have to be the light. And so I'm going to challenge each of you all to help me in my role as a director of athletics to create an inclusive environment in athletics that can extend to the rest of campus. Because you're right, under Division II, we are going to be an opportunity for students to be, Emory Henry to be accessible to more students of color. So we need your help to make it the best it can be.
Thank you. Carly, I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Okay, there's two more in the chat I'd like to get to if we have time. One is, how can members of the community help your transition better who do not attend Emory and Henry?
Good question.
I would say just be welcoming, come with open arms, just accept us for who we are, and just treat us as you would treat anybody else.
Yeah, what Quee said, just, judge us by, like MLK said, the content of our character, not the color of our skin. Because I have like back home, I have a lot of white friends that if they were to ever judge me, it would be because of the way I act and not my color. And like their moms and dads welcome me into the house with open arms and treat me as I'm one of their kids. And like, just like from a community standpoint, if a community could do that, then it would really be welcoming.
To add to what they both said, it goes back to, just the community educating themselves or wanting to be educated, we put our pants on the same way as you all do, as everybody does. We all bleed red. So, I mean, there's really no difference between me and another person other than, a skin color. And that shouldn't be something to be judged about.
Thank you, Ivan. Carly, one last question.
Being a part of a fraternity means that your children have a legacy on campus. And being a part of the football team, your name will be remembered. Do you believe that if you were to start a family, that you would recommend your children for Emory and Henry College? And I would like to add to that if not, what can we do to make this a place that you would feel proud and happy to send your children to?
I'll answer that. So to be honest, I mean, like when I have my kids, when they grow up and they're getting to that point where they're like, where did you go to school and stuff like that? How was it? I'll definitely tell them about Emory and Henry, because by that time, I definitely believe in the way that it's moving, change is coming to Emory and Henry, and that's a lot going into play, like D2, things like this, events about diversity, bringing in more African and American kids. So it's definitely just a good recommendation. And I also knew that coming to this school because of the credibility about it. Very good. I've heard good things about it. So
great. One person want to respond to that?
Most definitely. For me personally, Emory has like changed my whole perspective on how to have conversations, how to go about adapting, and how to not only treat your own kind a certain way, but bringing in somebody else from the opposite side and treating them the same way with nothing but grace and love. So just by having this conversation, most definitely I would recommend it to my kids, just not only because of the aspect of the historic of this college, but just by I see change coming to Emory.
Great, great. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up now. I want to sincerely thank our panelists. If we can all give them a virtual hand clap, that would be awesome. I think they did a great job, considering they had so many uh, folks visiting with us today. So thank you so very much, y'all. I think that you did a whole lot to help uh, enlighten and to just share your stories, and I think it meant a whole lot. So thank you so very much for agreeing to do this. Coach Hill, uh, you answered the call last minute, and I am so appreciative to your words of wisdom that you have for these young men, and the model that you bring with regard to your playing and having moved on with your life and doing great things. And so thank you so very much. And thank you everyone for coming out. I hope that something was said or done that was helpful for you. And I hope to have more conversations like this in the future. So take care and have a great day.